Hello everyone, welcome to the Cinema Analysis channel. I am Juzo. This channel will explore the hidden truths of films that are not usually revealed. Today I would like to talk about Kurt Wimmer. In particular, I would like to talk about Equilibrium and Ultraviolet, which he directed and wrote. I suggest you watch this film if you haven't already. So let's get started. The two films that represent Kurt Wimmer is Equilibrium and Ultraviolet. He directed and wrote both films. It's not sure if some script doctors were secretly involved in writing these films. He also wrote the script for Salt on his own, and he wrote a lot of scripts with other writers. What do you imagine when you hear the titles Equilibrium and Ultraviolet? The thing that fights with two pistols, the motorcycle climbs up the wall of the building, something like that. If you know the term gun kata, you might be one of the maniacs. He gained a certain reputation as an author who had established a style of fantastic SF action films. Let me talk about the reason why I wanted to make this video. It is because I believe that Kurt Wimmer is one of the greatest thinkers in history. What makes Kurt Wimmer a thinker is the way he thinks about evil. Let me talk about Equilibrium. The setting of this story is the future after World War III. The survivors have established a totalitarian city-state called Liberia. In the world that believes that the cause of conflicts is human emotion, everything that stimulates emotion is forbidden. Music, art, literature, everything is forbidden. Anyone found in possession of it will be executed. It is a duty to inject the drug to suppress emotions. The government organization that produces the drug Prosium is called Equilibrium, the same as the title of the film. John Preston, the hero of the story, is a grammaton cleric, a special agent who cracks down on sex offenders who has emotions. He knew that Partridge, his colleague, had become a sex offender. After reading a passage from the book, Partridge was shot dead by Preston. But I, being poor, have only my dreams. I have spread my dreams under your feet. Tread softly because you tread on my dreams. This is from He Wishes for the Cloth of Heaven by William Butler Yeats. Later, Preston accidentally dropped the capsule of the drug he was taking to suppress his emotions and broke it. Without injecting the drug, he went to work. Then he met a sex offender named Mary O'Brien. She reminded him of his wife, who had been executed as a sex offender. And Preston, influenced by the culture of the sex offenders, deliberately stopped injecting and deepened his doubts about society. He had a showdown with the ruler of the world. The director claimed that the theme of the film is numbness and censorship. In the setting of the work, people become numb through brainwashing by the media or drugs. When you lose your emotions, you can no longer be called a human being. In the commentary on the DVD, the director talks about censorship. I see growing daily around me that some people's feelings are dangerous and need to be censored at the end. So these are the things that sort of thematically drove me. He mentions EC-10 here. That's clearly a reference to NC-17 PWA, the burning of film. I was talking about the sort of ideas of certain people's feelings are dangerous. I find it disturbing on a certain level that there are people out there who set themselves up to decide what we should and should not be able to feel, what we can take, and it's certainly not just the PWA either. I mean, it's happening all the time on Capitol Hill or Major Giuliani seeking to censor the Brooklyn Museum of Art, etc., etc. And the reason why there is censorship is because there are people who think they are qualified to decide what kind of thoughts or feelings are allowed and what are not. The director criticizes this. The film, made in 2002, seems to have predicted the current situation. Social networking sites have developed on the internet, and everyone is free to send messages. There don't seem to be any restrictions in the world of information. But what about reality? The reality will be that the clever control is done for people to believe what the people who have the right to own the platform say. Even if it is done by the people who are not a nation, it is nothing but censorship. At the end of the film, Preston enters the room of Dupont, the controller of the enemies. There are large paintings hanging in the room. On the commentary of the film, the director describes it as a sumptuous and hypocritical office for Dupont. It means that the ruler allows only himself to possess bad things that he forbids ordinary people to possess. It is also called double standards. In this world, owning paintings deserves execution. Just having feelings deserves execution. But the head of the side that cracks them down only allows himself to possess them. In the later part of the film, Dupont told Preston that one of the clerics had seized his dose and was actually feeding. He had a doubt to Preston. When Preston pretended to know nothing, he beat the desk hard, saying, "Are you playing with me, cleric?" It is alluded here that Dupont himself has feeling. In the last battle, all of Dupont's men were killed by Preston. Dupont said, "You are treading on my dreams." This is a line from Yeh's poem that Partridge, who was killed at the beginning of the film, said. This means that Dupont himself has read the book. What was the story of Ultraviolet like? An American weapon lab discovered an obscure virus and modified it to create faster and stronger soldiers. Instead, they created a more contagious form of the disease, a strain called HEV, hemophagic virus. The disease got out. The era of fear of terrorism is over, and now we are in an era of fear of infection. The infected were isolated. The hemophages, the mutated infected people, escaped and began to rebel. And now the leader of the militant medical establishment running this phobic world is Vice Cardinal Ferdinand Daxus. At the beginning of the film, Violet was ordered by her comrades to steal a weapon from the humans. But the weapon was a child. The boy had cultured antigens in his blood that could kill phages. Violet ran with the boy. She was hunted by both her companies and her enemies. After defeating her companies, Violet had a showdown with the enemy. Surprisingly, Daxus, who was fighting the phages, was a phage himself. He deliberately became infected. He used a phage's special ability to rule the world. Don't you think Ultraviolet's worldview predicted the incident that happened in 2019? What both Dupont and Daxus have in common is discrimination and mistreatment of their fellow human beings. This must be the evil that Kurt Wimmer regards. The evil that Hannah Arendt regarded was the abandonment of initiative by banal people. She arrived at the idea of the banality of evil by studying the behavior of Adolf Eichmann. He repeatedly said that he had no responsibility because all his behavior was ordered by his superiors. The cause of banality can be said to be the result of the abandonment of initiative. Erich Fromm divided the cause of evil into three: malignant narcissism, necrophilia, and incestuous symbiosis. I'm great anyway is malignant narcissism. Anything you have done in a long time is not great. I am far greater, having crushed them in an instant, is necrophilia. Effort and growth are trouble. Those who claim to do such useless things are idiots or liars. Let us who do not do such foolish things be friends forever is incestuous symbiosis. I'm not sure Fromm would agree, but this is my interpretation of his idea. Fromm sees them as part of the syndrome of decay. Both Arendt and Fromm seem to think that evil is unproductive, mediocre, and lacking in initiative. Perhaps we could call it laziness. Their ideas may be more complex, but although the impulse to destroy requires some energy, it comes from a laziness that avoids thinking about difficult things. It is difficult to create, but much easier to destroy. Arendt and Fromm seem to think that human beings are prone to laziness and that if we do not continue to take initiative, we will fall into evil. On the other hand, evil portrayed by Kurt Wimmer seems to be something different. Both Dupont and Daxas are hard workers. They try hard every day to achieve something. This makes people unhappy, because the motive for the effort is the problem. Dupont tries hard to create a world without emotion, on the idea that human emotion creates conflict. But he can't live in a world without emotions. That's why he exempts himself from the rule. Daxas believes that the existence of phages with special abilities is evil for the world. However, he has acquired the ability and oppresses his fellow phages. He also only exempts himself from the rule. He has a bad phase, but he doesn't improve it. He doesn't punish himself. He projects the evil in himself onto other people and attacks them. The attack caused by self-loathing directed at other people. That's the true nature of evil. That's why the opponent that evil attacks often becomes an existence very similar to itself. It is read from the works of Kurt Wimmer. The boy born as a biological weapon is a clone of Daxas. He turns his other self into biological weapons and doesn't care. He only thinks about how useful the boy can be as a biological weapon. There are many people who, in a selfish way, decide on the standards of good and evil and use them to judge others and, in some cases, to punish them. But they never apply these standards to themselves. The leader of a certain religion forces his followers to live a simple life, forbidding them entertainment and love. Yet he eats what he wants, drinks what he wants, and ordered his female followers to sleep with him. Such bad examples may be rare, but such people are not rare. Man must have high goals and make efforts to achieve them. What is the goal of your life? What are you doing to achieve it? Not a few people ask this. When you ask him back, "What about you?" he replies, "Not me," as if it were a natural way. For some reason, he is an exception. He himself notices this strangeness. There is a pang of conscience. That's why they make higher and higher demands on others and get angry when they don't get them, even though they can't do anything. They think that they have made others grow up and have done good things for the world. The theme of equilibrium is numbness and censorship. At the end of Ultraviolet, the heroine says that, "But this I do know, all those still out there who spread oppression, injustice, and hatred, They better hope not. There must be some higher abstract theme at the heart of these issues. It must be the essence of evil to project self-loathing onto others and to attack them. It cannot be said that merely being banal or unproductive is definitely linked to evil. Eichmann may not have had the independence or intelligence to point out the wrongness of the Nazi leaders. But even if it was a wrong word, he made effort to adapt to it. It would have been impossible to do evil without the will or the strength to adapt to society. Just being incompetent or lazy is not necessarily evil. The victims of the evil of laziness are mostly themselves. The damage caused by hard-working evil is more destructive to society than the cost of caring for lazy people. Evilness will be done when you recognize that you are incomplete and have a conflict and you try to resolve in a wrong way. First of all, is it possible to define good and evil? If it is possible to define them, can those who define them really obey them? In most cases, they cannot be obeyed. Even though he cannot obey them, he thinks that only he who belongs to the privileged class can break them. Why do they come to think like that? It is because there is evil in you, and you cannot forgive it. Even if the evil in you were the one that really needed to be destroyed, it is difficult to destroy it. If it were easy, the evil would have been erased in the first place, and you would have forgotten about it by now. Evil exists within you, and you cannot stop the evil. There is conflict. The conflict is difficult to resolve. That's why in some cases, suicide is used to resolve it. The other way to resolve it is to change the way of thinking so that the bad thing is not bad. But you have to explain to yourself why you thought it was wrong and why the idea was wrong. It is more difficult than you think. And another way is to have feelings of self-loathing. You know very well that you, who cannot stop evil, are wrong. And there are also you who know it well. Oh, what a bad person I am. To have feelings of self-hatred is to blame your real self for doing evil through your fictional self. This makes it possible to justify yourself for the time being, but it will collapse. In any of these methods, the object to blame is yourself. Because you cannot blame yourself, you blame others. The reason of it is not being able to have self-confidence that you are alright. There cannot be able to exist a reason to have your self-confidence. So by excluding themselves and blaming others, saying you have no reason, they get the illusion that they have achieved something. This is the true nature of evil in most cases. There is no value system to determine that what kind of people deserve to live. The value system is different from the laws that should at least be obeyed. If there were, it would be linked to something as dangerous as eugenics. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked this video, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up.